Talking with Bob Danley of the Lee Metcalf National Wildlife Refuge over by Stevensville. And good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, Steve and everybody.
Well, what do you got for us today?
Well, I got to tell you, it's hot during the day, but it cools off really well at night.
We love that about the Bitterroot Valley.
Absolutely, and, we all do. And even some of the animals, it takes them a while to warm up, which is kind of interesting. And I'm talking about snakes. Now,
they're cold-blooded, aren't
they?
That's
right. In the last week, I've seen terrestrial garter snake on our roads. Number one thing I'd like to do is caution you folks that, around 10:30-ish in the morning, if you see, a branch-like thing laying on the road, slow down so you don't, squash it. Could be a snake. And, of course, they have value, too. They do control things that we don't. In general, we can have mice traps everywhere. The terrestrial garter snake is really interesting. It can occur all the way to over 10,000 feet in elevation. In fact, it holds the record in Montana for the highest elevation reptile.
Wow.
Now, there's 3 species of garter snakes in Montana. The terrestrial, the common, and the plains garter snake, and they all differ in the coloration or the form of the coloration on the snake itself. Terrestrial is kind of boring. It has some really dim yellow lines running down the central part of the back and then along the sides, and then it has 2 dark blotches right on the back of its neck, which are really obvious. Now, the common garter snake is really a thick, bright yellow line right down the middle, but directly below that, to the left and the right of that central stripe, is a line of red blotches, which really makes that one easy to identify. And those are the 2 that are found in the refuge, common and terrestrial. Now, both can be found in the valley floor and up in elevation. I think common is probably a little bit more aquatic. In July, it basically, according to the Amphibians and Reptiles of Montana book, they feed exclusively on frogs and toads in July and August. And the other one, terrestrial, can do grasshoppers, small mice, and it also takes advantage of wetland community members. But they're really they're not really huge. Typically 18 inches, maybe up to 30 or 36.
And they're, if I can paraphrase, they're kind of scaredy snakes. They go away from you if you.
Yeah, no, exactly. As soon as they see you, unless you approach them really quietly and from behind, they will scoot off. So it's really hard to get a photo. In fact, when I say I've seen 2 in a week, that really is a rare occurrence. In many cases, you can go years without actually seeing a snake here. And if you don't know when and where to look, in many cases, you won't even notice that they're part of the landscape. Although the research says that there's between 3 snakes and 10 snakes per acre. I don't know. I've never seen that in action.
And that figure all by itself would keep people out of the woods, I think.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, it is kind of a scary thought. And there are den sites, winter den sites, and then there are summer range sites. And supposedly they find their way to their summer range sites by pheromones that have been put down in the previous season.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because, man, I can tell you, my nose is plugged up all the time.
Yeah, well, there you are.
I would never find my way home.
Well, the common garter snake, it's around. You see it all the time, and it's also at the refuge.
Yeah.